The United States and China, two giants standing on opposite sides of the world bound by trade, technology, and tension. For decades, they've stared at each other through the fog of misunderstanding. To many Americans, China is a mystery, an authoritarian monolith, a copycat nation, or a rival threatening to overtake the world. But what if that story isn't just wrong? It's incomplete. What if America's misunderstanding of China is shaping global politics, economies, and even the future of humanity itself? Today, we're peeling back the layers, from history and media to culture and technology, to uncover what America still doesn't get about China. Because the truth is, understanding China isn't about taking sides. It's about understanding our future. Before we dive in, if you're passionate about stories that challenge how we see the world, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. The Origins of a Misunderstanding. To understand today's confusion, we have to go back in time. When China emerged from its century of humiliation in the early 1900s, the Western world, especially the US, saw a nation battered, poor, and ideologically alien. Then came 1949, Mao Zedong's Communist Revolution. To America, this wasn't just another uprising. It was the rise of a red giant aligned with the Soviet Union. The Cold War narrative hardened instantly: democracy versus communism, freedom versus control, the West versus the East. China became a symbol, not a country. Western media painted it as closed, rigid, and repressive, while ignoring its internal complexity. When Nixon visited China in 1972, it was a shock to American audiences. China wasn't just poor peasants and propaganda. It was a civilization with an ancient rhythm and a determination to rise again. But by then, the misunderstanding had already taken root. China was different, and difference was dangerous. Chapter 2. The Western Media Lens. For decades, the American media's portrayal of China has swung between fascination and fear. Headlines either glorify China's economic miracle or warn of its global threat. Rarely do they focus on its people, its scientists, artists, or everyday citizens. When China builds a 57-story skyscraper in 19 days, the story becomes China's dangerous speed, not China's engineering breakthrough. When Chinese students excel abroad, the story isn't about their drive to succeed. It's about academic espionage. It's not always deliberate. It's psychological. America's media operates on narratives that sell, and fear sells more than understanding. And so, over time, this subtle framing built an invisible wall, one where China became the other, and every story fit into that mold. Chapter 3. The Economic Anxiety. In the 1980s and 90s, America was untouchable. Silicon Valley was booming, Hollywood ruled culture, and the dollar was king. But when China began opening up its economy, manufacturing exploded. Western companies flocked to China to produce goods cheaply, and for years it was a win-win. Until one day, China wasn't just making things, it was innovating. From 5G networks and quantum computing to high-speed rail and renewable energy, China started to lead in areas America once dominated. And suddenly, what was once economic cooperation began to feel like competition. Many in America still see China as a factory nation, but that's outdated. China now produces more scientists, engineers, AI researchers, and green tech patents than almost anywhere else on Earth. Yet rather than acknowledging the transformation, much of the West sees it as a threat, a zero-sum game. The rise of one means the fall of the other. But the truth? The world isn't a chessboard, it's a network. Chapter 4. Two civilizations, two worldviews. Here lies the core of the misunderstanding. The West and China don't just think differently, they see the world differently. Western thought, shaped by Greek philosophy and Christian morality, is individualistic. It prizes freedom, expression, and personal achievement. China's worldview, influenced by Confucianism, values harmony, hierarchy, and collective stability. To an American, government interference feels oppressive. To many Chinese, it feels like order, a system that protects the whole, not just the individual. Neither system is perfect. But when the West judges China solely by Western standards, it misses the deeper cultural logic driving it. Understanding China requires humility, the willingness to admit that not every success or value must mirror the West to be legitimate. Chapter 5. The Technology Gap and the New Cold War. Today's rivalry isn't about ideology, it's about technology. AI, semiconductors, green energy, quantum computing, these are the new weapons of influence. America sees China's rise in these sectors as a national security threat. But from China's perspective, it's about self-reliance, avoiding another century of humiliation where the West dictates the rules. So both nations sprint ahead, building walls instead of bridges. The result? A new kind of Cold War, one fought with data, algorithms, and misinformation. The irony is that both need each other. America depends on China's supply chains, and China depends on American innovation and global markets. But instead of partnership, the world sees division, fueled by mutual suspicion. Chapter 6. The Human Side. Behind every headline, there are real people. The Chinese engineer working 12-hour days to design electric cars. The American farmer worried about vegetable exports. The student in Shanghai watching Marvel movies, dreaming of studying in California. The truth is, ordinary Chinese citizens aren't obsessed with geopolitics. They're focused on stability, family, and progress. The same things most Americans care about. Yet both sides rarely hear each other's voices. Instead, they hear filtered narratives that amplify fear. If more Americans understood what life in modern China actually looks like, the innovation, the creativity, the challenges, they might realize that it's not a threat, but a parallel journey toward prosperity. Chapter 7. The Future of Understanding. The misunderstanding between America and China isn't inevitable. It's a choice. Both nations are mirrors of each other's strengths and insecurities. One thrives on innovation and freedom, the other on stability and growth. The challenge isn't who wins. It's whether they can coexist without destroying trust, progress, or the planet. The next generation will inherit a world where collaboration in AI, climate change, and medicine could define humanity's future. But that only happens if we replace fear with understanding. And understanding begins with curiosity, the courage to look beyond the stereotypes. Conclusion. America's misunderstanding of China isn't just a political error. It's a mirror of how we all see the other. We fear what we don't understand, and we resist what we can't control. But the story of China isn't just about communism, capitalism, or competition. It's about transformation, the story of a nation rising, evolving, and redefining what power looks like. Maybe it's time America stops asking, how do we contain China? And starts asking, what can we learn from it? Because understanding isn't surrender, it's strength. The more we understand, the less we fear. If you learned something from this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.